Good morning, everyone. We're going to be doing chapter 1, and we're going to cover 1.1 and 1.2. And it's about problem solving, and there's a 4-step problem solving process, and it'll help you break down a question and understand it and problem solve it. And I wrote it down on the whiteboard, but it's small and it's not on the wall, so I'll have to write it and then put it down, bring it back up with the new information. But there's basically 4 steps, and the first one's understanding the problem. And there's bullet points underneath each step to help you guys understand it further. So 1, for understanding the problem, make sure you see your information obtained from the problem, or what do you have and what do you know about the problem. And then the next one would be what needs to be found, or what is needed to solve the problem. Like, do you need a certain variable? Do you need to find X? How are you going to find X? What equation can you use to singular out X, which will give you your answer. Our second step is devising a plan, and you're going to determine what you're dealing with, and it'll help you create a plan. So for example, like if you're dealing with an equation, a pattern, missing numbers, it'll help you decide on like what step you should take in order to find it. Like an equation, like I said earlier, like finding X, the variable X. And then another like key is making a table, list, and diagrams. And it'll help lay out your data and your information a lot better for you to observe it and break it down. Now, step 3 is carrying out your plan. So take action in the strategy you chose to use, which could be an equation, the pattern, like I mentioned earlier, and make sure you always show all your work. So our final step is step 4, which is looking back. So checking your work. And the easiest way and the way I do it is usually just making sure your answer makes sense according to the question. If it doesn't make sense, it's most likely wrong. And in certain math problems, there's like actual steps that you take, which is kind of like reversing the work you did to check your answer. But not all questions in math can do that. So this is why I usually go with just making sure it makes sense and it fits with the question, what the question was asking. So we're going to do 3 practice questions in order to kind of teach you guys and go through the 4-step problem solving process with actual math questions and just a visual illustration also. For this one, we're going to understand the problem, and I quickly understand that there's a pattern going on. And if you guys view it, you guys can view that all the numbers are even, can either be divided or multiplied by 2. So then I'm going to devise a plan, which I quickly realized, like I said, it was a pattern. And then we're going to carry out the plan and try out our options, which can't be subtracted by 2 because then these would be lower than the first number. It would decrease. And then we can't add it, because you can add 2 plus 2, which is 4, but 4 plus 2 is not 8, it's 6. So then we either quickly realize it's either dividing or multiplying. And 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that completely cancels out division. And we realize that each number is being multiplied by 2 and it increases. So that's how we're going to figure out these 2 missing numbers. So what we do is 16 times 2, which is 32, and then 32 times 2, which is 64. And now we found the missing numbers and we solved the problem. Now when we look back at it, we kind of just go through the same process and what makes sense. And we know it's correct because subtraction didn't make sense, addition did not make sense, division did not make sense. The only option we really had was multiplying. Squaring does not make sense either. Okay, so our next question is shapes. And once again, we're going to understand the problem, right? I start to see that there's 2 triangles, a circle, a heart, 2 triangles. And then right here should be a circle because the pattern is going to keep repeating, and there's a heart. So I quickly realized that the pattern repeats. And that's how I'm going to find out the missing shapes. And then, so we understand that it's a pattern. And then our plan is to complete the pattern by studying the pattern. And like I said, we see that it repeats the two triangles, the circle, the heart, and again, correct? And so now we carry out the plan, which gives us a missing circle here and the heart, right? So then what comes next is a triangle, and then again a triangle, and lastly the circle again. And then doesn't make sense, right? It's our last step. It's looking back, making sure it's right. From the information they gave us, and we can't reach any more information, it makes sense because it's the two triangles, the circle, the heart, the two triangles, then the heart after the missing piece, and what was in between the heart and the triangle here, the circle. And that's how we solve patterns. Our third question is going to be a little bit harder, just because I want you guys to see a harder problem, but we want to start off with easier problems, because a great way to solve problems when you're struggling with a bigger one is to break it down and see an example of a simpler one. And it'll help your brain out a lot more to figure out the other ones. So our third and final question, example question, is a magic box. And what it basically is, all, like as it says in the question, all horizontal, vertical, and diagonal lines are all going to equal the same number. So we're going to add them up. And to understand this problem, we're going to realize that all the sides equal the same answer, correct? So we're going to add these up, which will give us 15. And we're also going to understand that they completed a row for us. So this is how we're going to find our missing values, correct? And that's the objective. It says, what is the value of the missing numbers? And so now our plan is to subtract 15 by the numbers we find in the rows, and it'll give us our missing number. And so, and now we carry out the plan, correct? So 8 plus 5 is is 14. 13, my bad. It's 13. So we're going to quickly realize that the value in this box is going to be 2, because we did 15 subtracted by 13. And then now, because this one had 2 missing ones, right? But now we found the solution to this one throughout doing it diagonally. So now we have 2. So now we can add them, which is 7 and 8. So 15 minus 8 is 7. And then we're going to add these two. Which is 14. So 15 subtracted by 14 is going to be 1. And now we have only one box left. And we can either solve it going this way or this way. Either way, it's the same thing, because 4 plus 2 is 6. 5 plus 1 is 6. So 15 subtracted by 6 is going to give us the answer of 9. And that's how we ended up solving this problem. It looked a lot harder than the other ones. It wasn't a simple pattern. But we were able to understand it and solve it by doing the 4-step problem solving process. We broke down the question, understood that we had missing values. In order to find it, we had to add these and then subtract this result by each number added in each column, diagonal, horizontal, and vertical. And then we carried out the plan, which is how we ended up getting our numbers. And last, we had to look back. So the easiest way to look back on this problem is just to add them all. Just make sure going this way equals 15, this way 15, this way 15, 15, 15, 15, and every diagonal will give us 15. And if you do that and each one adds up to 15, then you know you've done the problem right. I hope you guys understand the 4-step problem solving more. And 1.1 and 1.2 is basically problems like this, understanding patterns, finding missing values through a pattern, and just breaking down each problem in order to get your answer and your question and answer the question. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.